read books to learn and grow. Enter world so we can know words of prophets far and wide. Let God's people be our guide. Yes, a better bookshelf. Yes, a better bookshelf. Yes, a better bookshelf to help us be set free.
Do you have a baby? Do you love babies? Are you a baby? If so, then Evangeline and I have a couple of books to recommend. The first book is called Global Babies, and it is a book put together by the Global Fund for Children, and they have a series of books including titles like Global Babies Bedtime and American Babies. And what Evangeline loves about this book, pictures of babies to look at. It also has a sweet message about babies being loved no matter what, which I think is a good message for babies and for parents. The second book that we're recommending today is called May We Have Enough to Share. It is by Richard Van Camp. It is an Own Voices book, which means that it is a book about a particular community written by someone from that community. So this is a book that I love because of the photographs, or Evangeline loves the photographs. All Indigenous families and babies taken by female identifying Indigenous photographers. Oh, there's Evangeline again. And the thing I also love about this is the words focus a lot on the word enough. May we have enough to share, may we have enough love, enough hugs, and I really find it to be a nice book, a nice message, almost a nice prayer or meditation to read to your kids in the morning or at bedtime, to orient ourselves in the direction of a community that lives out God's vision for us. Right, Evangeline? Both books we give two thumbs up.
Hi, I'm going to review this book, and the title is We Are Grateful, O Jali Halida. And I like this story because my favorite season is winter. I like winter because you could make snowmen and have snowball fights. This is about the Cherokee people and their ancestors. And the ancestors walked on the Trail of Tears. Now I'm going to read you some words in the Cherokee book. And I'm going to read also about the Cherokee people. Gola winter. As bears sleep deep and snow blankets the ground. We say to Oja Helida. I hope you like it.
If you'd like to become part of the First Press Kids Better Bookshelf Club, all you have to do is go to linktr.ee/First Press Kids Hayward, fill out the form there, and you will receive a book bag with some books chosen for you and some instructions about how to make a little video like this if you feel comfortable, so that we can share with the community all the books that we've been reading, and everyone will have a chance to diversify their bookshelf. Parents and caregivers can also request a book if they would like one that would better their bookshelf too. For 25% off of these titles, mention FBCH or Better Bookshelf Club when you order from Books on Beat.
Hi, my name is Chizu, and welcome to the First Press broadcast, where we highlight people and stories that make our world a better place, not just for us, but also for future generations. Today, we're going to be talking about creation and its relationship to the Creator and how that informs us and how we live today. We are going to be having music from Sophia Hernandez, who was the fabulous interviewer last week, and also from Michael Kim Eubank. So that's going to be amazing. We will also have an interview done by Lacey Nguyen, who was the intern here at First Press last year. And she's going to be interviewing Edith and Randy Woodley, who lead an Indigenous retreat center in Washington. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Disapprove of your wrongs doesn't make Not long ago, there lived a vast grove of ancient trees. The tops of their crowns reached so high that they tickled the clouds. The tips of their roots furrowed so deep that they touched the pure streams of the underground water. Life in the great forest was happy. The ancient trees protected the younger ones. Everyone lived in balance and harmony. But one day, without warning, everything changed. The trees heard a frightening, terrible noise, and then the noise did the unimaginable. One after the other, trees fell to the ground. The ancient ones fell and fell and fell until there was only one tree left. Grandmother Oak waited for the terrible sound to come again. Years went by. Grandmother Oak longed for the grove to be filled again. She would drop acorns from her branches. But when the seeds turned to young trees, the terrible noise returned. She felt like she was dying and no longer able to encourage new growth. Then one day, square houses started appearing. Trees suddenly appeared. They looked very different. Grandmother Oak was so thrilled to be able to talk to another tree again. "Welcome home," she exclaimed. "This isn't our new home. We have been here for a long time." "Yes, this land has always been our home," said another tree. The new trees talked to each other about the old grandmother tree and how strange she seemed. Grandmother Oak became silent. The new trees grew fast, too fast. When storms came, young tree blew completely over because their roots were so shallow. When a tree was damaged, the other trees waited anxiously. Injured trees were always replaced with new ones. There was no time for the trees to heal. After years of silent watching, Grandmother Oak decided to speak. "Friends, you need deeper roots to be strong." "How do we get deeper roots?" Grandmother Oak answered. "Tell me the stories that connect you to this land." None of them had stories of how this land came to be. Stories that told the power of this place. Stories of how the Creator was behind and inside it all. "Grandmother Oak, do you know the stories of this land? Can you tell us what makes your roots so strong?" Grandmother Oak smiled. She started with the recent past and those dark days. The new trees were listening. Grandmother Oak then spoke of the happy days. She shared about how the old trees had spent their mornings listening to songbirds, herds of woodland buffalo and elk grazing, the ivory-billed woodpecker on her branch, golden eagle. The young trees landed in to listen and could almost feel their roots slowly reaching down to find new streams of water. They stretched a little taller. The trees heard the faint sound together. A soft thump hit the ground.
Good morning, everyone who's watching this. My name is Lacey. I'm a part of First Press from afar in Seattle. And I'm here today with Dr. Woodley and Mrs. Woodley, and they're both here to speak to us about creation and a little bit about their worldview on creation. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and read their bio. Dr. Ranley Woodley is an activist, scholar, distinguished speaker, teacher, and wisdom keeper who addresses a variety of issues concerning American culture, faith, justice, and our relationship with the earth and Indigenous realities. His expertise has been sought in national venues as diverse as Time Magazine, Christianity Today, Moody Radio, and the Huffington Post. And he currently serves as a distinguished professor of faith and culture at George Fox University / Portland Seminary. His books include Decolonizing Evangelicalism, which I'm reading right now, and y'all should buy through Amazon. And then also The Harmony Tree, a story of healing and community, Shalom and the Community of Creation, an Indigenous vision and living in color, and embracing God's passion for ethnic diversity. Mr. Woodley's chapter writings are in dozens of books and in many magazines and journals, and he is a legal descendant of the United Keetoowah Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma. And he's also served as a member of the Oregon Department of Education American Indian / Alaska Native Advisory Board. Edith Woodley is a speaker, mentor on issues concerning Native American spirituality and creation. She's a full-time mother, grandmother, and farmer, and she has developed a unique relationship with the land and insights concerning how to raise a family on a small farm. Edith is an Eastern Shoshone tribal member who was raised on the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming, and she graduated from Bacone Indian College in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and is founder of several organizations with Randy Woodley, including Aylah Indigenous Center for Earth Justice and Aylah Farm and Seeds. So, Dr. Woodley and Mrs. Woodley, could you both please just speak a little bit about Aylah and maybe just touch on the message of Aylah and the work that you both do there?
Yeah, you want to go ahead and start, huh?
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Aylah is, we're just starting off again. It's like we're starting a new chapter of Aylah. And so we bought this land, and it's about, 10 acres? Mm-hmm. And it's raw. There's nothing here, just the house, the barn, and 2 little outbuildings. So the land is just raw, ready for us to build Aylah and build the infrastructure. That's what we're working on right now. Try to get all that done before winter. We ended up having some issues with our well. It was starting to run dry, so we had to do a new well. So it's an exciting time for us right now. We've, as you probably could tell in the background, we have 10 boxes, vegetable boxes that we kind of threw together in early spring, threw some, planted some seeds in them, and, we got what we got. It's kind of a short term, but it's the beginning.
So, the Aylah Indigenous Center for Earth Justice and Aylah Farm and Seeds is, this is our 3rd iteration. So it started with a vision of a dream that I had in 1998. And we've sort of been following that. We had established a 50-acre farm in Kentucky in a community, a place that will empower both Native and non-Native people to deconstruct and to indigenize, really. A place of ceremony, a place of teaching and learning, a place of hands-on experience. And that was going very well for a few years. And then we lost that farm and property to a group of white supremacists, paramilitary group with a 50 caliber machine gun, and sort of set us back for quite a while. We lost everything because we couldn't sell our house then because it was the bottom of the economic downturn, back in like 2007, 2008. So we ended up kind of having to not just start over again, but start back in the hole. And then we had our second iteration was in Newberg, Oregon, about 15 miles from here. And that went really well. We built it up. We planted a lot of trees and did a lot of crops and started our seed company there. And we had a number of good schools, but there wasn't enough room. It was just a small 3-acre property to have the kinds of community building and things. We had a community that came around our ceremonies and things, and then so finally, this is our 3rd and final iteration of Aylah Farm and the Aylah Indigenous Center for Earth Justice. And it's everything I think we've ever dreamed of. And so, but it takes a lot of work to turn a dream into reality. So that's kind of where we're at in our journey. People can go to our site, aylah.org, ELOHEH.org, and pretty well hear more about the vision and the story there.
And is your vision for Aylah, well, I guess after COVID is over, essentially to bring in like not only Indigenous folks, but also like other folks to also come and learn about how to indigenize and deconstruct?
Yeah, so that's exactly it. And most of the time, our sort of average has been half native, half non-native. We realized a long time ago that like we have to do this thing together. This is not just for our native people, you know, and especially when it comes to like sharing power and things like that. We have to have leaders who are ready, and we have to have people, sort of allies who are cooperating and understanding like the big picture of equality and justice and all of those kinds of things. And so, yeah, it's for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Indigenous people have a gift to give to non-Indigenous people, and I think we've been trying to give that gift. And it was shared at the beginning. I think by most accounts, Indigenous people were pretty hospitable and generous when the settler colonial folks landed, but they took advantage of that. And you know, it seems like, you know, people are actually wanting to hear from a non-Western worldview, people from different perspectives, and they realize that the Western worldview is sort of what got us in this trouble that we're in, and both disease and poverty, and you know, the trouble the Earth is in right now, the climate crisis, and it's gonna, you can't dig yourself out of the ditch, you know, with the same worldview. You've got to, you know, ask for help from other places, and I think people are, you know, maybe after all these, you know, 500 and something years, people are starting
They're
to
finally listening.
Yeah, it's so, you know, and there's a lot of this burnout from, you know, Black Indigenous people of color, you know, who are like, well, we've been saying this for years and we're tired, and you know, but I think it still ends up being our burden to share, if you will. Even if you're tired, if you're burnt out, if you feel like you've been beating your head against a brick wall for, you know, years and years and years, you know, if we're going to leave a better world for our grandchildren and great grandchildren, and, you know, we think in terms of the next 7 generations, then we've all got to work together, and we all have to give what we have, the giftings we've been given. And so, and there's certainly a lot of other Indigenous people besides us who have lots of wisdom to share. We're probably the least, but we're still trying to create a place where that can happen. And in our schools, we always bring in other Indigenous people to share as well. Not just us. We don't have all the answers, but we are trying to create a place that does provide that opportunity for everyone.
And I can definitely say, as someone who, well, I'm in the Indigenous Grandmas cohort, so I've definitely, I mean, we're only on week 3, right? But
I know.
it's been really amazing. And I've also been reading a lot of your material, Dr. Woodley, just for doing stuff for Aylah's Instagram. And I can say, like, I've been missing out. As a settler myself, I definitely have been missing out. I think Indigenous teachings is what I personally need right now in my own journey of healing. So I want to thank you both for being so open, and caring so deeply, not only for your own people, but for the indigenizing and healing of other folks too. It's brought a lot for me personally.
Thank you for saying that. So the idea to indigenize, people get the wrong idea about that sometimes. I think we're trying to turn everybody into like native people, and then people start wondering, well, what about appropriation or something? You know, no, that's not what indigenizing means. To become a part of the land and that whole system, what I call the community of creation, where you are as who you are. We're not trying to teach people how to become native. We're trying to instill the indigenous values, which is different than the practices. The indigenous values that have sustained our people for millennium on this continent, on what we call Turtle Island. And it's those values that we know that have been, you know, we weren't, it's not like Native people all of a sudden magically were given these values. We had to go through trial and error for centuries to figure out, how do you live on this land? How do you get along with people who are very different from you? Because America was much more diverse before Columbus ever landed. And so all these things were sort of, a lot of them worked out. And it's not perfect. It's not a utopia. That's not what we're talking about. But those values are what sustained those generations of our ancestors for so long. And we know that those same values enculturated or whatever into different peoples and their understandings on Turtle Island here will sustain us. And so that's what when we talk about indigenizing, that's what we're talking about.
For our church service, our scriptural theme is Psalm 96:10-13, and it paints creation as having a very personal relationship with the Lord, right? Creation interacts with God in very human-like ways, such as the fields being jubilant, the trees are singing for joy. And I wanted to ask, how does the way Scripture paint the relationship between creation and Creator different from the way that Western American churches do portray creation? And then also, how is this different from the way Indigenous communities view creation and their relationship with creation?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So
I got thoughts, but I'm just like, how do I frame them?
I'll take the difference part, and then you can talk about how Indigenous people see things, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the difference is this. So for non-Western people, nature or creation is how we learn from it is like a metaphor, an analogy. It's some sort of learning device and so it's a very much an object.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn from these teaching tools or these objects, if you will. And that is not at all how Indigenous people understand creation. And that's the Western worldview, what it brings to Scripture. In the Western world, the Scriptures were not, as I saw one of the quotes you pulled of mine, were not written by Enlightenment-bound thinkers.
Right.
They were more, pre-Enlightenment, more like Indigenous people. And so people who are bound to this Western Enlightenment-bound worldview are probably the least qualified to interpret, what's going on in the stories. And so they put this Western framework on there, and these things become objects. So the ant becomes an object. The field, the flowers, all those become objects of, to teach. Whereas Indigenous people understand a relationship, that we are related, not higher, not lower, but in relationship, we all serve our purpose on this earth. And those things are animated with spirit, God's spirit. And so, we're not, worshiping those things. We're just saying that God, there's the breath of God or the life of God in every living thing.
I view the land and how the Creator has shown me so much through the land, and how much healing it can bring you. It can bring your spirit. It can bring your body. Like Randy was saying, the ants, they're not just an object. The Creator created them because they have a purpose. We may not know what it is unless you're a science person. You can get all into this zoology type stuff, but everything has a purpose, and we can learn from it. And we can heal from it. There's healing medicines that have been put upon this earth to heal things, to heal our elements and our elements in our body. That, it's like today I'm going to be processing some hawthorn berries. Hawthorn berries are a heart medicine. And Randy has heart issues. And so it's like, oh my gosh, this is out of creation, right? They're there for a reason. Go ahead.
And it's this relationship, she just doesn't go out and,
right,
and just nonchalantly start picking. It's, it's a respect for that tree's purpose.
So, you don't ever take anything from Mother Earth to say, this is mine. Because a lot of people do that, right? A lot of people just take stuff. They take all the minerals and the natural elements from the earth, and it's like they just strip it and they more or less rape the land. As a kid, I was taught to say thank you to that plant, to that bush, to that tree. You're not worshiping that bush or tree or plant or flower. You're acknowledging it. So that there's that relationship that you have, and you acknowledge that tree for giving, and you're acknowledging the creator who created it, saying, thank you, creator, for this healing medicine that I am taking. Thank you for letting it grow and flourish. Thank you, hawthorn tree, for giving me these berries so I could take them and use them so that Randy could have a healthier heart.
So I was taught, I have a lot of different medicines that I've been taught by elders in different parts of the country. And, one of the things that's consistent with them all is they'll say, now the medicine won't work unless you pray over it. And so there's this spiritual connection very much with the physical, and that sort of breaks that dualism, right? It's like this is something physical, creator put on earth to help me physically, and our spirits are in tune and in relationship, if you will. So there's this symbiosis, I guess you'd say, that happens in this process. And so it's prayed over when it's picked, it's prayed over when it's taken, and when it's made. And so very much it's not just something physical, and it's not just a quote unquote spiritual prayer that just goes up in the air without anything. It's that grounding us to the grandmother earth and everything that creators put here for us.
And a lot of people think, oh, if they hear this, they're like, oh, they worship the trees, they worship the ground, they worship the earth, and it's like, no, it's not that. Like Reggie said, it's that relationship that is formed with the Mother Earth and with the Creator, and giving that thanks and that beauty, and just knowing that we just can't take, because that's greed, right?
Extraction's what's got us in the mess we're in, right? This thoughtless extraction. Yeah.
There's so much involved with this, but it's so simple also.
How do you both see similarities between the way that Indigenous folks view creation, and also between the way that Jesus walked and lived during his life? Because Jesus also speaks a lot about creation and uses creation and learns from creation in his teachings.
Yeah. So when I look at the life of Jesus, the parables, the things that he taught, it very much sounds pretty indigenous. When I pastored a native church in Carson City, Nevada, one of the comments that would come out is people would say, like, Jesus teaches just like our medicine people, and other wise teachers who use story and in a way that people can understand without always confronting them directly, and of course he did that too. But there were lots of inventions during Jesus' time. There's this myth of progressive civilization where we think that we're the only ones who are smart, and but there's ingenuity and lots of inventions and things during every era. During Jesus' time, there was things like chariots and crossbows and water wheels and all kinds of things, roads lit up that weren't before in the past, and mile markers and all those kinds of things. But what is Jesus mostly teaching from? He's teaching about flowers. He's teaching about from fish, donkeys, fields, the flowers, even Solomon, he says, who was supposed to be the richest person to ever live. I think they would say like he had like $4 trillion in our today's money if they looked at it. And his clothes were all embroidered with gold and peacock feathers and all this. But he says even Solomon and all his arraignment, don't even compare to just this flower in the field, right? So there's something very basic about Jesus' grounding of his teaching to things that were going on in nature, to seeds that were planted, to rain as it came. So, and this is something that, and even though, he wasn't always talking to agrarian people, and yet he was talking to urban people a lot of time, but he still talked about nature, about creation. And that's because creation is one of our main teachers. It's really what I call God's first book, right? Is that we learn from creation. We learn a lot about who Creator is. We learn, just watching, all kinds of different parts of nature. We know there's a great mystery, and we can't always explain it, but even that teaches us a lot.
I would really be interested in what you both think in terms of where the Western church has just gone wrong in the way that we have misinterpreted the scriptures and the way that we have viewed creation as a form of extraction rather than this more indigenized, non-Western worldview that you both speak of.
Yeah, so there's a lot.
I know. I was like, "Oh, this is a big question."
That is a loaded question. Yeah.
So, I see if I can just break it down very quickly. We idolize Greek civilization as the first real civilization on Earth. The Americans do, and and we also so we have Greece and Rome as sort of these the Western world has sort of adopted Greece and Rome and ancient Israel as their ancestors, if you will, right? And so spiritually, it's like Israel, right? Especially for the Christians, they think those are their ancestors, right? But but then also Greece and Rome, and then before even before the Enlightenment period and the Reformation, which are happening parallel with each other, by the way. Even before that, there's this whole sort of empire-driven Christianity, Christendom, if you will, under Constantine. But it even goes back a little farther than that. But the Greek influence is apparent throughout. Plato's influence and Aristotle's influence, and these are people that the church pretty much wholesale adopted. As part of their understanding of everything, of the world, their worldview. And so by the time empire goes from Greece and Rome to England and then over to here, this Platonic dualism is replete in our theologies. And so, and that is, what is that dualism? A dualism is not just two different things. Some people misunderstand that. Platonic dualism is when you invest in the ethereal or the abstract or the spirit or the mind above that of the body or the physical material world, the earth. And, the earth is fully spiritual and our spirit is fully embodied. And so these can't be separated, and even scriptures, there's really no place I can think of where like spirit appears without body, right? Embodiment. Even when we talk about like what's going to happen after, it's like new bodies, right?
I would even add, as we're talking about this, like in my own life, I found that like Western dualism was very damaging to me because as a woman of color, it taught me that I couldn't trust my own body and my own instincts and that my body was not spiritual. So when I was internalizing and practicing these white evangelical theologies, it almost like damaged my body in a sense because my body knew it was not right for me, right? Like internalizing this whiteness, accepting this white Jesus. And I always go back to how healing it's been for me to read both of your works and learn from you both because I finally feel like I am living starting to live in an embodied way that is true to my heritage.
As you were talking, it just kind of like, as women, it's hard, and especially women of color, it's even harder coming out of a Christian world, and being in a dominant church, and them telling you this is how you have to be, this is how you have to dress, this is how you have to act, and it's like, as you were saying, it goes way against how you were feeling.
Yeah. And it's not even as much telling you, I mean, that's done, but it's like showing you through the normalized, white experience. Like, this is what's normal. That means this is what's universal. This is everyone's truth. And we're just going to leave things the way they are, the same, so that you all continue to realize that our white truths are what's most important.
Right.
And so it's that, you catch, they say more is caught than taught. Right. And so, someone said the other day, and I always thought about this, the church always say everyone is welcome, right, on the outside, right? But what it really says, everyone is welcome to be like us.
Mm-hmm. This can be our final question, just out of respect for both of y'all's time. I wonder, for those of the people who are listening, what are some ways to move towards like healing our relationship with the land? Especially, a lot of us are settlers, a lot of us are non-natives. This isn't our land, but how do we still heal our relationship with the land?
To be on the land means, first of all, you admit I am on stolen land. And this land was inhabited by a people for probably thousands of years, almost in every case, at least thousands of years, before I showed up. Now, if I don't acknowledge that, it's sort of, it's kind of like the people who condemn others for like hunting for their meat or raising animals humanely and then killing them, but they'll go to, eat a hot dog or a hamburger or, whatever. The first value has to be respectful of the people who were there before, and find out what they're doing. Their chances are they're probably still around and trying to survive, and they're fighting for their rights still. So to be an advocate or an ally. So that's one thing. But then to also understand what they considered sacred, because you can't just jump out in the land and go, oh, I know it. You have to build a relationship with the land and understand it. And that takes a while. And so, learning from the indigenous people who were there, what are their stories about with this land and how did they view it? And then all of a sudden I'm maybe in the right frame of mind so that I can go out into the land and I can like go, okay, how do I, as a visitor, begin a relationship with this land? And then what does this land want? And then, are you, a lot of people, they want to do this, but they won't even talk to the trees and bushes and flowers around them, right? As if to acknowledge they have life too. If you can't talk to a tree in your own backyard, don't try to, be an environmentalist, at least from a native perspective,
Right.
So it has to be to develop from a sort of what I call a socio-historical geographic understanding to a more personal relational aspect. And then now all of a sudden it's like, maybe I've only got, a pots out my apartment, balcony, or maybe I've got, a little plot, or maybe I've just got, 6 square feet, but how am I going to tend this land? How am I going to make sure that this isn't just for me, but I invite the community of creation into this as is meant to be, and to restore that land and allow that land to heal me. And so there's this relationship, this reciprocity that has to occur. And it might seem silly to people, right? To talk to their trees, but and trees respond very slowly. I think the Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien had it right when he had the what are they called, the imps, I believe, or
Yeah.
ints.
Uh-huh.
The imps, and they talked very slow, and they moved
Yeah.
slow. And I think he had it right, because my experiences with trees, it's like you learn patience by being around trees,
Yeah.
and especially like old trees, old oaks and things. And so, all of this is about, rekindling a relationship between you and the land that you are on. And you're in relationship with it, whether you do this or not. It's just that you're probably in a bad relationship. You're in
Right.
an extractive relationship.
Right.
You're in a utilitarian relationship. You're just using that land for what you can get out of it. But once we start to understand what's going on with the land, we have more respect, and we realize that there are things that the land wants to do, and I have to get in tune with that.
I totally agree with what he said.
You saying I had a mic drop moment?
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, that was it.
Fine, man. I've been waiting all my life for a mic drop moment.
I'm sure you have many. Yeah, well, thank you both so much for agreeing to this interview. It was such a pleasure. I learned a lot, and I'm sure the members of our church and listeners also will learn a lot too. And thank you so much for both of your wisdom. And if anyone is interested in more of the work that the Woodleys are doing, make sure you check out Aylah. So aylah.org. You can donate to their Earth Justice Center there, and then you can also buy Aylah seeds, I believe.
Yeah, we're starting to get more seed orders this fall, which is unusual. But if I can sort of add a caveat to one of the things you said. So, we said people will learn a lot. What we did is we said some things, and people can hear a lot, but we only learn them when we go out and practice them. And so it's when people get out and actually, start their relationship with land that they actually start the learning process. So. Yeah, but it begins with awareness.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday in the grandma's cohort, like we're talking about how we need to go outside and lay on the grass. So that's like on my list to do today, to listen to the grass. Yeah, but thank you both so much.
It's nice to get to know you personally just a little bit more. We hope that one of the days you can land here at Aylah and we can spend some time together.
For sure. I'm one of the first ones there as soon as Corona's over. I already told her.
The orange skies are crying. The orange skies are crying. Things aren't right, can't you tell? You're killing us and you're killing yourself. The orange skies are crying. The waters, they are crying. The waters, they are crying. You have altered geography to build oppressive colonies. The waters, they are crying. Oh, dominion is not domination. We are insatiable. What is left for the next generation? just die for you. The animals are crying. Oh, the people, we are crying. The people, we are crying. We are sacrificing the many to line the pockets of the few. Oh, erasing the oppressed because it's the only thing we know to do. Oh, the people, we are crying. Oh, the people, we are crying. Dominion is not domination. We are insatiable, yes. Oh, what is left for the next generation? We are responsible. Oh, dominion is not domination. We are insatiable. What is left? What is left for the next generation? We are responsible. 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 Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and the south and the east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Oil wasted on the ocean and upon the seas. Fish are full of mercury. Oh, oh, mercy, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds that live nearby are dying. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy me. Yes. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more abuse from us can she stand? How much more can she stand?
So we have reached the end of our broadcast, and I believe that in my own connection with God, it is important for me to connect with nature. And so we want to encourage you today to be connected to nature. I would encourage you to go outside, take off your socks and your shoes, put your feet in the earth, put your feet in the sand, put your feet in the water, and take a moment to reflect. How do you participate in making this earth, the nature, the world, a better place? Because we would really love for you to be connected to the earth in that way. And so that's my encouragement for you. Go outside and be in nature. We would like to remind you to order the Woodley's book. You can go to the link that we've posted and you can order their book there. It's a great book. I've read it with my daughter and she loves it. And we want to have some special thank yous today. Thank you to the Woodleys. Thank you to Lacey, to Sophia, and Michael. We were so happy to be able to have this time together with you and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much and have a great day.
So we can know words of prophets far and wide. Let God's people be our guide. Yes, a better bookshelf. Yes, a better bookshelf. Yes, a better bookshelf to help us be set free.
Do you have a baby? Do you love babies? Are you a baby? If so, then Evangeline and I have a couple of books to recommend. The first book is called Global Babies, and it is a book put together by the Global Fund for Children, and they have a series of books including titles like Global Babies Bedtime and American Babies. And what Evangeline loves about this book, pictures of babies to look at. It also has a sweet message about babies being loved no matter what, which I think is a good message for babies and for parents. The second book that we're recommending today is called May We Have Enough to Share. It is by Richard Van Camp. It is an Own Voices book, which means that it is a book about a particular community written by someone from that community. So this is a book that I love because of the photographs, or Evangeline loves the photographs. All Indigenous families and babies taken by female identifying Indigenous photographers. Oh, there's Evangeline again. And the thing I also love about this is the words focus a lot on the word enough. May we have enough to share, may we have enough love, enough hugs, and I really find it to be a nice book, a nice message, almost a nice prayer or meditation to read to your kids in the morning or at bedtime, to orient ourselves in the direction of a community that lives out God's vision for us. Right, Evangeline? Both books we give two thumbs up.
Hi, I'm going to review this book, and the title is We Are Grateful, O Jali Halida. And I like this story because my favorite season is winter. I like winter because you could make snowmen and have snowball fights. This is about the Cherokee people and their ancestors. And the ancestors walked on the Trail of Tears. Now I'm going to read you some words in the Cherokee book. And I'm going to read also about the Cherokee people. Gola winter. As bears sleep deep and snow blankets the ground. We say to Oja Helida. I hope you like it.
If you'd like to become part of the First Press Kids Better Bookshelf Club, all you have to do is go to linktr.ee/firstpresskidshayward, fill out the form there, and you will receive a book bag with some books chosen for you and some instructions about how to make a little video like this if you feel comfortable, so that we can share with the community all the books that we've been reading, and everyone will have a chance to diversify their bookshelf. Parents and caregivers can also request a book if they would like one that would better their bookshelf too. For 25% off of these titles, mention FPCH or Better Bookshelf Club when you order from Books on Bee.